A long time ago, in a small African village called Greenhill, there stood a very big tree in the middle of the village square. The people called it the breeding tree. No one knew how old the tree was. Its branches were wide, like the arms of a mother, and its leaves stayed green all year round, even when other trees lost their leaves. The tree was very special. Every child in Greenhill was told, never harm the breeding tree, never break its branches, never pick its flowers, and never lie beneath it after dark. The old people believed the tree could hear, see, and even speak, but only when it wanted to. Among the children of the village was a brave and curious boy named Daniel. Daniel had two best friends, Mary, a clever girl who always carried a small notebook, and Ben, a boy who loved climbing trees. One sunny afternoon, the three friends sat under the breeding tree, enjoying roasted corn and mangoes. "Do you really believe the stories about this tree?" Daniel asked, staring up at the thick branches. "My grandma said it breeds new life," Mary said. "She told me that every 100 years, the tree chooses a child to give a gift to, but no one knows what the gift is." "A gift? Like what?" asked Ben, his eyes shining with excitement. "I don't know," Mary said, shrugging. Suddenly, a soft wind blew through the branches, and one bright blue flower fell from the top of the tree. It landed right in Daniel's lap. The three children gasped. "The tree chose you, Daniel," Ben whispered. Daniel picked up the flower. It was warm in his hand, and it glowed softly, like a small lamp in the dark. A gentle voice seemed to come from the leaves above. "Follow the roots when the moon is full." Daniel jumped up and looked around. "Did you hear that?" "I did," Mary said, holding Ben's hand. The wind blew again, and the leaves shook like they were clapping. That night, Daniel placed the glowing flower under his pillow. He told his mother he wasn't feeling well, so he could stay home. All he could think about was what the voice said. "Follow the roots when the moon is full." He waited for the next full moon, and when it came, Daniel, Mary, and Ben crept out of their homes and met at the breeding tree. The moon was round and bright in the sky, making everything look silver. "Are you ready?" Daniel asked. "I was born ready," Ben grinned. Mary nodded, holding her notebook tight. They placed their hands on the big roots of the tree. At first, nothing happened. Then, the ground beneath them began to glow, and the roots opened like a door. And that was the moment their real adventure began. The roots of the breeding tree opened slowly, like a giant mouth in the ground. A soft light shone from below, and a cool wind rushed up, making the children's hair stand on end. Daniel looked at Mary and Ben. "Are you sure we should go down?" "We've come this far," Mary said bravely. "We have to know what's inside." "I'll go first," Ben grinned, and slid down the glowing roots like a slide. Daniel and Mary followed quickly behind. They landed softly on green grass. But this wasn't ordinary grass. It sparkled like tiny stars. Around them were trees with leaves made of gold, and flowers that hummed like they were singing a gentle tune. "Where are we?" Mary whispered. "I think we're under the tree," Daniel said, holding the glowing blue flower tightly in his hand. Suddenly, a small creature appeared. It looked like a child, but had leaves for hair and eyes as bright as the sun. "Welcome, Daniel, Mary, and Ben," the creature said. "I am Leafin, guardian of the breeding tree's heart." "How do you know our names?" Ben asked, surprised. "The tree knows everything about those it loves," Leafin smiled. Daniel stepped forward. "Why did the tree choose me?" Leafin pointed at the glowing flower in Daniel's hand. "Because you are brave, kind, and your heart is pure. The tree only chooses those who can protect life." Protect life? From what? Mary asked. Before Leifin could answer, the ground shook, and a deep, angry growl filled the air. "Uh-oh," Ben whispered, grabbing Daniel's arm. "What was that?" Leifin's face grew serious. "The shadows have found a way into the tree's heart. They want to steal the tree's power and cover the world in darkness." "But what can we do? We're just children," Daniel said, though he didn't feel afraid anymore. "You have the flower," Leifin said. "It holds the light of 1,000 stars. Only with it can you find the golden seed, which keeps the tree alive." "Where is the seed?" Mary asked quickly. "In the Cave of Echoes," Leifin said. "But you must hurry. The shadows are already there." Leifin clapped his hands, and a shining path appeared before them, winding through the golden trees. "Follow the light. Do not leave the path," Leifin warned. "And remember, the tree is watching." Daniel nodded. "Let's go." And with that, the three friends ran down the shining path, their hearts pounding but their spirits strong. Far above them, the breeding tree's branches swayed gently, and its leaves whispered words only the brave could hear. Daniel, Mary, and Ben ran down the shining path. The trees around them glowed softly, and strange, beautiful birds with feathers like jewels flew overhead. "I've never seen a place like this," Ben said, his eyes wide. "Me neither," Mary agreed. "But we have to stay focused. Remember what Leifin said? We must find the golden seed." They followed the path until they reached a small, sparkling river. The water was so clear they could see little silver fish swimming, but there was no bridge. "How do we cross?" Daniel asked. Just then, a large flat stone floated to the surface. Words appeared on it, written in glowing letters. "Only kindness can open the way." "What does that mean?" Ben scratched his head. "I think we have to show kindness," Mary said. She looked around and saw a small bird nearby. Its wing was hurt, and it couldn't fly. Mary gently picked up the bird and whispered, "It's okay, little one. We'll help you." She placed the bird in the water. At once, the river shimmered, and big stepping stones rose from the water, making a bridge. "You did it!" Daniel smiled. They quickly crossed the river, but the sky above them began to darken. Strange shadows moved between the trees. The friends stayed close together. "I don't like this," Ben whispered. Suddenly, a dark shape jumped out in front of them. It had no face, just a black, smoky body with long, sharp fingers. "Give us the flower," the shadow hissed. "No!" Daniel shouted, holding the glowing flower close. The shadow moved closer, but then the flower in Daniel's hand grew brighter and brighter until it shone like a tiny sun. The shadow screamed and vanished into the air. "Whoa!" Ben said, his mouth open. "That was awesome." Daniel felt his hand shaking. "We have to hurry." They ran deeper into the forest until they reached a dark cave. Strange whispers came from inside. "This must be the Cave of Echoes," Mary said. The entrance was covered with vines. On the vines, more glowing words appeared. "Inside, your heart will be tested. Only the brave will find the seed." Daniel took a deep breath. "We can do this." "Together," Mary said. "Always," Ben grinned. They stepped inside the cave, and the darkness swallowed them. Inside, their voices bounced around the walls. The whispers grew louder, the cave felt cold, and their footsteps echoed. Then, the ground shook again. A giant pair of red eyes opened ahead of them. "Who dares to enter my cave?" a deep voice boomed. The friends froze. The giant red eyes glowed brighter in the darkness of the cave. The deep voice spoke again. "Who dares enter my cave?" Daniel's legs shook a little, but he stepped forward. "I am Daniel, and these are my friends Mary and Ben. We came to find the golden seed." There was silence for a moment. Then, a huge shape moved. It was a giant snake with shining black scales and a crown of golden leaves on its head, its long body coiled around the walls of the cave. "I am Serpana, keeper of the seed," the snake hissed. "Only the pure of heart may take it. You must pass a test." "What kind of test?" Ben asked, his voice small. Serpana's tongue flicked out. "Each of you will face your deepest fear. If you run, you fail. If you stay brave, you pass." The snake opened her mouth and a misty cloud came out. It surrounded the three friends. In the mist, Daniel found himself standing alone in the dark forest. Strange sounds came from every side. He heard his mother's voice calling, "Daniel, Daniel, help me." His heart beat fast. What if it's a trick, he thought. Then, a figure appeared. It looked like his mother, but her eyes were empty. "Come to me, Daniel," the figure said. Daniel remembered what Levin had told them. "The tree is watching." He gripped the blue flower tightly. "You're not my mother," he said bravely. "You're a trick." The figure vanished, and the mist cleared around Daniel. At the same time, Mary faced her fear. She stood on a tall bridge high above a river. She was scared of heights. The bridge shook in the wind. "Come down, Mary," a voice called. "It's not safe." Mary felt her legs shaking, but she took a deep breath. "It's not real. I can do this." She took one step, then another, and another. When she reached the other side, the mist disappeared. Ben faced a huge, dark wolf with sharp teeth. Ben was scared of big animals. The wolf growled and showed its teeth. Ben's hands trembled, but he remembered how the flower's light chased away the shadow before. "I'm not afraid of you," Ben shouted. The wolf howled and vanished into smoke. At that moment, all three friends stood together again. The mist was gone, and Serpana watched them with her bright red eyes. "You have passed," Serpana said, her voice softer now. "You have brave hearts." The snake opened a hidden door in the cave wall. Inside was a golden box. Daniel stepped forward and opened it. Inside was a glowing golden seed, warm and bright like a tiny sun. "You must return this to the heart of the breeding tree," Serpana said. "The shadows will try to stop you." "We won't let them," Daniel promised. Serpana bowed her head. "Then go, children of the tree." Daniel held the glowing golden seed tightly in his hand as they hurried out of the dark cave. The sky above the forest was even darker now, and strange shapes moved between the trees. "They're here," Mary said, her voice shaking. Ben pointed ahead. "Look!" The shadows had gathered on the path. There were many of them now, tall, thin figures made of smoke and darkness. Their eyes glowed red, and their voices whispered, "Give us the seed. Give us the seed." "We can't go that way," Ben said. "Yes, we can," Daniel said bravely. "Leafin told us to follow the light." He held up the blue flower. Its glow was stronger than before, and as Daniel raised it high, a path of light appeared through the shadows. The dark figures hissed and pulled back, but they didn't leave. "Quick! This way!" Daniel shouted. The three friends ran along the glowing path. The shadows followed on both sides, their angry whispers filling the air. Suddenly, a huge black creature jumped in front of them. It was twice as big as a man, with long arms and sharp claws. "I am Night Fang," it growled. "You will not pass." Daniel's heart pounded, but he remembered what Serpana said. "You have brave hearts." He held out the golden seed, and it shone like a star. The light made Nightfang scream and cover its face. Ben grabbed a stick and waved it. "Leave us alone!" Mary threw a small stone, hitting the creature's foot. "Go away!" Daniel stepped forward. "This seed belongs to the breeding tree. You can't have it." The light from the seed grew brighter and brighter until it filled the whole forest. The shadows screamed and vanished like smoke in the wind. Nightfang gave one last roar and disappeared. The path was clear. The friends didn't stop. They ran through the golden forest until they reached a tall hill. At the top of the hill stood the biggest, oldest tree they had ever seen. "The heart of the breeding tree," Mary whispered. Its branches stretched into the sky and its roots sparkled with light. In the center of the tree's trunk was a small, round hole, just the right size for the seed. Daniel took a deep breath. "It's time." He stepped forward, holding the golden seed in both hands. The tree's leaves shimmered, and a gentle voice spoke from above. "You have done well, children. Place the seed, and new life shall begin." Daniel lifted the seed and carefully placed it into the hole. At once, a bright light burst from the tree. The branches glowed, the leaves sparkled like jewels, and flowers bloomed all over. A warm wind rushed through the air, carrying away the last bits of darkness. The breeding tree was alive and strong again. The friends stood together, smiling. But then, a new voice spoke from the light. "The adventure is not over. A greater danger still hides beyond the hills. And you, brave ones, must face it." Daniel, Mary, and Ben looked at each other. "I guess we're not done yet," Ben said, grinning. "Not yet," Daniel agreed. And as the tree's light shone around them, they knew their next adventure was about to begin. The light from the breeding tree shone bright, wrapping around Daniel, Mary, and Ben like a warm hug. The tree's branches swayed gently, and the voice spoke once more. "You have saved me, brave ones. The shadows are gone, but you must remember, darkness will always return if kindness and courage leave the hearts of people." Daniel stepped forward. "What about the danger beyond the hills?" The voice chuckled softly. "That danger has been chased away by your bravery. You proved that no evil is stronger than good hearts working together." The tree's trunk opened once more, and Li Fin, the little guardian with leaf hair, appeared, smiling. "Well done, heroes," Li Fin said, clapping his tiny hands. "You have saved Green Hill and the breeding tree for many generations." Ben grinned. "That was amazing." Mary smiled. "But we couldn't have done it alone." Li Fin nodded. "That's the lesson. When friends stand together with courage, kindness, and honesty, no shadow can defeat them." The ground began to glow, and a soft wind lifted the three friends gently off the ground. "It's time to go home," the tree whispered. In a blink, Daniel, Mary, and Ben found themselves back under the breeding tree in the village square. The sun was rising, and the tree's leaves sparkled in the morning light. "Was it a dream?" Ben asked, looking around. "No," Daniel said, feeling the warm blue flower still in his pocket. "It was real." The village people gathered around as the friends told their story. The old people smiled and nodded, for they had always believed in the tree's magic. From that day, Daniel, Mary, and Ben promised to always protect the breeding tree and teach others to be brave, kind, and honest. And every time the wind blew through the leaves, it whispered their names, a reminder of the children who saved the heart of the forest. Moral lesson: when people work together with courage, kindness, and honesty, they can overcome any danger. True friends never leave each other in times of trouble, and protecting the good in the world is everyone's duty. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications. Your support means a lot